10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Utkarsh Tandon, and I welcome you to yet another episode of interactive post-match analysis. A Saal Cup Nammade, this was the tagline of RCB this year, and they are proving, or rather, they are working hard and trying their level best to make this happen. As another clinical victory for RCB against the Kolkata Knight Riders. Well set up a win, first by their bowlers, especially Mohammad Siraj, who was in today for left arm spinner Shahbaz Ahmed. A good captain, good change by Virat Kohli, as Abu Dhabi is a wicket which has been favoring fast bowlers till date and in the tournament. And this Mohammad Siraj just shattered the top order of Kolkata Knight Riders. So three wickets, top three were shattered by this Mohammad Siraj, and after that, Yuzi Chahal also chipped in. Washington Sundar, Chris Morris also bowled really well. Navdeep Saini bowled really well, and KKR were just bundled out for 84 runs, 84 for 8. Uh, Slowest 50 score of a team as they put up the score of 50 runs in first 15 overs, slowest in the history of IPL. Then it was just a cakewalk for RCB in the second innings as they chased it down easily in 13.3 overs with the Gurkirat Singh Mann unbeaten at 21 and skipper Virat Kohli unbeaten at 18. So a lot of issues to be addressed by Kolkata Knight Riders now, and the new captain Owen Morgan has to really rectify it in the middle of tournament. Not a very good sign for KKR, but that's the way it is. Some changes which were actually out of mind. Russell wasn't fit. That's a good change that Russell was out. Tom Banton was in, but Mavi was going really well for KKR. So why Prasidh Krishna? That will be a question which needs to be answered. But today now I have some of the fans joining in. I'll add them quickly. Yeah, hello, Mr. Piyush and Mr. Prabodh. Welcome, warm welcome.
Hello.
You're live in the show. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you.
So, any comment on the match between KKR and RCB? Technical win for RCB. Cakewalk.
Yes, definitely. And the KKR is totally outplayed by RCB. There's the punchline we can say. And the first impression we see when Siraj is bowling in second over. That's a brave decision and a very good decision. And this decision will definitely help Siraj in future games in RCB.
Yeah. Means confidence shown by the skipper and a master stroke by Virat Kohli, looking at the venue and the conditions which is apt for the venue, because so far in Abu Dhabi we've seen that pace bowlers got some help. Also there was some grass on the wicket, so there was some extra carry as well on the bounce on the wicket. And then Mohammad Siraj with his stock outswing, he just shattered the top order. Nitish Rana, Rahul Tripathi, and then Tom Banton as well. So a clinical victory for Royal Challengers Bangalore. So now I'll move to Prabodh. Prabodh most welcome.
थैंक यू बहुत बढ़िया डिसीजन रहा विराट का. एक्चुअली विराट एंड सिराज ये दोनों के जो स्टेटमेंट है पोस्ट मैच सेरेमनी में, दोनों का यही. इवन सिराज को भी नहीं पता था.
हाँ, yes,
sorry Prabodh for interrupting, as we now have Paji with us. So Sat Sri Akal Paji once again, and how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Paji, a clinical victory for Royal Challengers Bangalore, a cakewalk to say? And
Yeah,
I would just like, yeah, your
yeah, just
opening remark. Opening remark.
well, it's been the most surprising result. No one thought they'll get bowled at so cheaply. It was always a concern for me. When you're changing the captaincy halfway, they did well, but that's the risk. And that's why these kind of results happen, because it takes time to build a team. It doesn't happen overnight. And if you change captaincy halfway, big decisions like that, and then you have a shocking result, it's a risky. It's a high risk. They took a high risk, KKR, and sometimes these are the results you get by being sort of halfway through the tournament. Like, how many overseas captains have won the IPL? It's only been 3 out of the 12 we've had. So it doesn't make no sense to me. Why do you change the captaincy when statistically it shows that Indian captains tend to win the IPL, 75%, winning ratio, and they build a good team as well for the next 2 to 3 years. So it's really strange halfway through the tournament. That's what I mean by it's a high risk strategy. You're playing, it's a high risk game. They did well the last game. Yeah, they bought Lockie Ferguson and they, got everyone with pace, and it was a super over as well. So, statistically, it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me at all. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah. Agreed, and a lot of issues which Owen Morgan needs to address right there in the middle of the tournament, which any captain don't want to have so much issues in the middle of the tournament. So now moving ahead to Virat Kohli first of all, and just before the toss, the change in the team. Shahbaz Ahmed, the left-arm spinner, was replaced by Mohammad Siraj. There's been a lot of talk about, or rather criticism about Virat Kohli and his team selection. But this time around, looking at Abu Dhabi, that till now it has favored fast bowlers and has some help for the fast bowlers in the wicket. So don't you think this time Virat Kohli needs to be praised for this change?
Yeah, look, he's he is a good captain, and sometimes he can be quite a bit of a dictatorship style, and I think that's why Aaron Finch is brilliant. To help him to take that burden off captaincy. It's as much as people say, oh, he is leading the team. He knows he's got a captain there. Another guy who knows how to manage a team and whatever. So it makes a huge difference when you have another supporting captain. Yeah, his team selection, I think, been spot on. He's got it right. He got it right with Chris Morris, with the overseas players, and even with the fast bowlers. I don't see why people faulting his team selection.
Yeah. So, and Mohammad Siraj, the way he shattered means there was a bit of help and he exploited it to the fullest.
Yeah,
so
look,
I want you to answer a game before he was dropped, but the confidence which Virat Kohli showed in Mohammad Siraj and brought him, and a master stroke, I would want you to answer that. Rather than giving him the old ball, he gave him the new ball to bowl up front and utilize his ability which he has in the red ball format.
Yeah, look, he's a quick bowler. He's got a similar. He reminds me a little bit like Jofra Archer with the long levers and hitting that pitch. And look, you're watching the better teams. How are they performing? How are Delhi Capitals doing? How are the likes of Rajasthan Royals? Like, it's always the fast bowlers who have on the UAE pitches made the difference. And he knows that if he can get the best out of Mohammad Siraj, then it allows him to an option of playing another overseas player, because he's got the fast homegrown player in his team who can produce that result. So that's what the difference between any of the teams. Like, why are Chennai Super Kings struggling this year? Because they don't have an out-and-out quick bowler. Yeah, Josh Hazelwood is doing a job. In my opinion, he should have played the first game, but they just don't. They need another quick. They're missing another quick, and ideally, they could do with someone like Mohammad Siraj, homegrown talent that gives them a few options. That's why Virat Kohli wants him to be playing, because it gives him options. It gives him options with the overseas players. It is a huge advantage to have a homegrown Indian fast bowler. Then it just allows a bit more flexibility.
A clinical win for RCB, but a question for KKR, as they had only 84 in their kitty to defend. So why not go all out for kill? Why not go all guns blazing right from the start? Give 2-3 slips to Pat Cummins and actually tell them to bowl that test match line and length which Mohammad Siraj did. So don't you think that Ian Morgan should have been more aggressive in his approach in the second innings?
Yeah, look, we can always say, I don't see the Owen Morgan captaincy that he does for England does with KKR.
Yeah.
There's something missing in his captaincy, and I don't know what it is. He doesn't have the same authority or the same confidence. What is it? I don't know what it is. I think Brendan McCullum, he's made a decision to change the captaincy, but it's only worthwhile making Owen Morgan the captain if you can actually have the same freedom, or if you can captain the same way he does England. He just doesn't. There's something I can't put my finger on it. I just don't know what it is. In the IPL, I don't think it was the right decision, if you ask me. And I've been watching the game so closely. I thought DK was in the similar mold of Dhoni. He had this calmness about him. He was, I don't know why they changed halfway. There must be something happening internally with KKR, and it's, you're just putting when you have results like this, like today, you are putting yourself out dry. You are, and they could have just, if they had the same result with DK as captain, they're not putting themselves under pressure now. Now the spotlight would have gone more on, well, guys, we told you we need to make Owen Morgan captain. We need to make Owen Morgan captain. But now they made Owen Morgan captain. Everyone's, it really, I don't know what is happening internally with KKR, but there is some sort of, there is a huge problem there.
Agreed, and right there in the middle of the tournament, that is a big concern for you, because you've mentioned it quite a few times that right in the middle of the tournament, KKR didn't need the change which they did. So now I have, yes, Paji.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Look. It's that's what it is. I think any Indian fan who is, Indian fans from the IPL are so well educated. They really know, their cricket. They follow it closely. I want some of you guys to maybe answer this question, because it's over my head. I remember Gautam Gambhir saying it takes one bad decision to destroy a team or an era, and it takes time to build it. And you look at, 9 out of the 12 IPL games are won by Indian captains. DK was a perfect mold to build the next KKR legacy. And why did they change? I just don't understand.
He has been doing it for 2.5 years, and suddenly, after grooming him for 2.5 years, suddenly there is a change. So this is more ridiculous part of it. Now, I'll move to our fans. First, we have Piyush ji. Most welcome once again. If you have any questions, you go ahead.
Yeah, coming back to Monty's point, there's a lucky provision. If you have a captain like Morgan, and you have a bowler like who has already took 5 wickets in last game, and in first 6 overs there is no Lucky Ferguson. This is a major point for me. Why Morgan not used Lucky Ferguson in initial 6 overs?
I'm pulling my hair out, and if you keep answering this question, I'm going to go bold by the end of this show. I'm baffled. I cannot believe. Look at Delhi Capitals. The last 5 overs is where they win the game every time. If you can't play Rabada and that, the young fast bowler from South Africa, his fellow partner, who actually bowls, who could probably break Shoaib Akhtar's record, right? Why can't they play Lockie Ferguson at the start with Pat Cummins and say, right, on UAE pitches, we all know it's the fast bowlers that have more impact? I don't understand. I really don't understand. There is something happening internally with the management and the owners. There must be someone, who's calling the shots, because it's not a cricketing decision. If it was a cricketing decision, I think Brendan McCullum at the start of the tournament wanted Owen Morgan as captain, wanted Lockie Ferguson playing. There's something happening internally which we don't know about, which I will call is the politics within the team that is not helping KKR.
And one thing more, Paji, one thing more. You are playing Tom Benton as a finisher, as a opener, or as a middle order. He is definitely a opener for England. Why he don't open that inning? Why Rahul Tripathi should come first down or second down to play as a spinner like Chahal and Washington Sundar, and Benton is suited for opening batsmen to face fast bowlers.
Well, the question is, right, is that they are unsure about their top order, the four overseas players they're playing. The problem is Andre Russell is not performing like he used to perform, and they relied quite a lot on him, for the wins. Early on, what they should have done was had Pat Cummins, Lockie Ferguson, Owen Morgan, the guarantees. Then seeing how the form between Owen Morgan and Andre Russell went. No one had the courage to tap on Andre Russell's shoulder and say, you know what, I think you should possibly rest. Then you play Tom Banton at top of the order. Suddenly that team looks okay now. We've got a good opener there who can maybe give it a go. Owen Morgan in the middle, got DK at the, at the sort of, at the back end where he's much better. Got the two fast bowlers. You're looking okay, but the problem is they've got Sunil Narayan. So, do we then drop Owen Morgan? Do we bring Sunil Narayan instead of Tom Banton? And he's obviously been banned, so they're trying to protect him. So they've got such, problems right now. That the real problem in that team is Andre Russell. If Andre Russell was performing, because he's such a big player, I think it opens up all the other cracks. Because Andre Russell's performance is kind of like sugarcoats the problems, but it is a huge problem that KKR have, that when Andre Russell isn't performing, how do we win a game of cricket? And I think their option should have been Lockie Ferguson, Pat Cummins as their second option. We'll be relying on Andre Russell as our main performer. If he's not going to do it, we know I've got our fast bowlers. They completely got their game plan wrong in the East and the UAE.
And just to float a stat, as you mentioned, it's the 5th successive game where KKR didn't pick a wicket in the power play. 5th successive game.
Yeah, and Pat Cummins has been the issue as well. He hasn't really, gone that well. Marvi and the other, his fellow companion, both of them bowlers have done really well. That's been probably the most positive story that's come out of KKR. Is that they've got these young fast bowlers where KKR invested in them. They had operations and then they invested in these players. But Pat Cummins hasn't really fired either. Now, why is he not firing? What's going on with with the situation there? Like, what's the coaching staff looking like? There's I think they just didn't prepare themselves for different options. And, they needed to work these things out, like how do we change and adapt? But I just feel like it's like once a lot of these teams, like look at CSK, KKR, they're so used to winning in India. They know how to win in Eden Gardens, they don't know how to adapt to different conditions. They're in the UAE. How do we become flexible? How do we change our team strategy? What do we do? It's it's been a difficult time for both of them teams.
Agreed. So now I'll move to Mr. Prabodh, our next guest. So Mr. Prabodh, you can ask
Yes,
your
sir.
question. Go ahead.
Monty sir, my question is that actually they have purchased a very high cost player, Pat Cummins, and he is not performing in last 10 matches. What he is capped for actually? He's done some good knocks, okay, but it's not as per the capacity or capability of that Pat Cummins. Then also the issue is the KKR with that optimization of the overseas players. No one is performing like what they are kept for. So, what is your opinion, sir, in this case?
Well, my opinion is with Pat Cummins, when I see him play against Australia, he sometimes takes after the openers, he's like the third change bowler. Pat Cummins may be struggling with his length. His natural length is being hit out of the park. So he's thinking, my natural length, I'm putting under pressure in the power play period. Let him bowl outside the power play, right? Now, if they had Lockie Ferguson playing, he would have bowled in the power play with, let's say, Marvy, right? And then that puts less pressure now. Now they've got Pat Cummins, kind of Lockie Ferguson kind of look after Pat Cummins, so Pat Cummins can come in maybe after the power play. Because they got the team completely wrong, it makes it so difficult now. They're putting so much onus on Pat Cummins because he's got he's been so much money that I think the onus is like, well, how much was it? 15 crore or something like that?
15,
right, 15 crore.
15.5 crores.
Yeah, 15.5 crores. It's the mentality of the most expensive player must perform the most. It's like you got to think cricket strategy, right? His natural, it doesn't matter if it's 20 crore, 25 crore, his natural length is going out of the park. He shouldn't bowl in the power play. Or if he does bowl, maybe 1 over, right? Save him for later on, maybe in the back end, But they seem to play and bowl him in the power play because he's 15 crore. He's supposed to deliver. And, I'm really, it makes me think, strategically, how are they putting this team together? There's so much experience in that team, but they are making schoolboy errors, and I just don't understand who is making these decisions.
That's the big issue,
And
actually, the
today it looked
optimization
like
of
that.
overseas players, sir.
Sorry?
That is the main issue, actually, the optimization of the overseas player. They are having big players in the bags, but they are unable to use those.
Yeah, so look, the problem is they had Sunil Narayan obviously bowling, which they needed a spinner to bowl. They took, however they won in Eden Gardens, they took that same formula into the UAE, and it hasn't worked. And they should have quickly adjusted, but they haven't adjusted. They kept on giving the guys chance after chance. Then Lockie Ferguson comes into the game, takes 5 wickets in the last game. Who should have played a lot earlier? And they maybe Brendan McCullum is new into the job, and he's kind of like just learning, about the coaching and the players. I get the feeling, because Brendan McCullum and Owen Morgan are really good friends, Brendan McCullum was not happy to have DK as captain at the start of the IPL. Now, if any coach is not happy with the captaincy and the players he's getting, it will make his job difficult,
Coordination is difficult.
Yeah, so he's got his team. He's halfway through the, IPL. I think now the worst thing would be, now they've got to say, right, we've got to stick with this decision. We've made the decision with Owen Morgan. We made the decision with Brendan McCullum. We need to stick with this until now and the next IPL. If we're really going to make, this team work, we are going to commit to this management and this team. And whatever the results are, however the thick and thin we go through, we are giving you guys the coach and the captaincy role until the end of next IPL. That has to be the commitment from the owners, from everything, because you went for the change. It's going to take time to get that change, make the adjustments. So I hope the owners are not making drastic decisions, thinking, right, by end of the season, let's get rid of Owen Morgan and Brendan McCullum. Let's start fresh. This year's been a complete waste of year for them KKR.
Yeah. एंड आगे बढ़ने से पहले जितने व्यूअर्स जुड़े हैं हमारे साथ उनसे कहूंगा कि मैंने लिंक शेयर कर दिया है लाइव चैट विंडो में. दे कैन क्लिक द लिंक एंड जॉइन अस. सो नाउ नेक्स्ट मूव टू अनुराग. हेलो अनुराग, वेलकम टू द शो. यू कैन गो अहेड. Hello, Anurag. I think there is some technical issues. He'll sort it out and then I'll take him. So in the meantime, I'll go to Rohan. I'll go to Rohan.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
So, Sunil Narayan got his action fixed. Actually, the committee which monitored has cleared him, and he's so why didn't KKR play him today? We all know what Sunil Narayan can do and what he has done in bowling for them. So why Sunil Narayan missed today's match? And are they trying to save him for the later stage of the game? And this was a do or die game, I believe.
Look, I think the hardest conversation Brendan McCullum is going to have is not with Owen Morgan, it's with Andre Russell. He's a big player. He can hit the ball well. He's hitting the ball well. He's bowling okay. He's just getting out. When you're out of form, you find ways of getting out, right? Even when you're hitting the ball well and you're just not in good form. In the last game, hit the ball well, straight to deep mid wicket. And I think it's time for Brendan McCullum to make that big call and say, look, I don't know if you're going to make the playoffs, but I think I need to just change the team to start winning a few games. And I think with your hamstring not being great, maybe have a bit of a rest. Have a rest for a couple of games or have a rest for one game. And let's see how it goes. I don't want you to get injured either. So I want you to save yourself, even like for maybe at the back end with a few games, it'd be nice to get back in form. But, you're not in great form and you're not, you're not fully, fit, and we may not even make the playoffs. So maybe I want to just change the team and see how we go, but, and then hopefully Andre Russell will have the understanding and think, right, we're not going to make the playoffs. Let me just sit out. And let's see if we can, get someone else in there and start, building this team. And I hope that's the case. I hope Andre Russell has that maturity as a senior player, and that make Brendan McCullum's life a lot easier. And I think that conversation is such a difficult conversation for him to have. But all good coaches, management teams will have a way of discussing that with him. And I hope he has the maturity to actually say, yeah, I understand, and be honest. He needs to be honest to the team and say, come on, mate, where is your body at? Where is your bowling at? Where is the mind at? How do you feel? Maybe a break will be good. Just have a couple of games rest and then come back. And I hope that's the case,
Yeah, and for the last 3 days, we've been talking about the hard call which Baz needs to actually take. So now Anurag is back. I'll move to Anurag. Yes, Anurag, again, warm welcome. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, my question is about Virat Kohli and his captaincy. Actually, people don't have his bowling change which he has done, which I certainly feel that he does bowling changes. So, do you also feel that Virat is a good man, can rotate the bowlers really well, whether it's for the team or for the franchise?
Yeah, look,
At the
Virat. Yeah,
At the start, we've been talking about this only.
Yeah. What's the question? Sorry.
Paji, it's about Virat's captaincy, his bowling changes, and his backing on captaincy, crucial changes. So it's about how shrewd a captain Virat is.
Look, I think Virat's captaincy is very much dictated on AB de Villiers' form. You know, they're best mates. If AB is performing well and he is batting and he's showing his brilliance, he loves it. Virat loves seeing AB just produces a mate because he is a huge fan of him. But the psychological impact that it has on Virat is it helps him, it frees him up, it energizes him seeing Virat, AB de Villiers perform like that. And then he can focus on other things. He actually gets a lot of energy from AB de Villiers' performances, and it helps him to captain the team better. You know, he brought in Adam Zampa. He tried that out with a bit of Moeen Ali, and eventually he stuck with Chris Morris. And he is seeing, he's watching other teams. Like, here's a captain who's actually learning from other teams. He knows the key in this IPL has been that extra pace, and he's trying to get the best out of Mohammed. You know, Siraj, he's bowling, who's probably, you know, he's probably saying, don't get the ball out of my hand. I just want to bowl on these pitches. I want to perform. These pitches are great. They're fast, and I'm doing people for pace. And you can see that, you know, these pitches are responding, and he's adapting to that. And that's great to see, you know, Virat's able to you know, improve and grow as a captain, or even how successful he's become. It shows a lot about him and his character.
Definitely. We've been talking about this at the start of the show as well. So now I'll move to Aman. Hello, Aman. Warm welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, and hello, Monty sir. Actually, sorry, already answered my question. My question was why not KKR try Cummings in middle overs after power play? Because when KKR today replaced Prasidh Krishna in place of Shiva Mavi, I thought they had mindset to start innings with Blocky Ferguson and Prasidh Krishna, but they didn't, and we know the result of the match.
Yeah, look, it's you know, when there's a lot of confusion amongst the group, you are going to make decisions which the person, the neutral fan, or the cricket fan that is watching is thinking these are bizarre decisions. And that's what happens when a camp is unhappy, a camp is confused, they're not sure, you know, what decisions we should make. You will see these kind of, you know, upset decisions. And, you know, if I was the owner of KKR, what would I do? What is my thinking long term? Would I want to stick with these two? You know, Brendan McCullum, Owen Morgan. You know, that's what we're going through their heads right now. They'll be thinking, what should we do? And it takes a lot of it. You know, good teams always need the owners to back them and have faith and say, guys, let's bite the bullet and let's, you know, back these guys. And I also, you know, I hope they do that, but it's very difficult. I know the Indian owners, you know, they want results quick. They can't understand the cricket logic. They don't get it. They're like, why are we losing such bad games? They're going to be like, well, why did we change DK? We should have had DK as captain. We've not had this kind of result. You know, the owners want results. They want to win, and sometimes things take a little bit, you know, longer than expected. But they call the shots. They're the ones who own the team. That would be going definitely through the coach's mind, and Owen Morgan's thinking, you know, what are the owners thinking? And I hope they are backing him.
Yeah. And before taking a quick word on tomorrow's match, a last point which I needed to ask. Shiva Mavi was bowling really well for KKR and was doing, rather pulling off great performances for KKR. So we've discussed it several times before as well. Why to fix when nothing is broken? So why was Prasidh Krishna, no disrespect to Prasidh Krishna as a bowler, but why to bring Prasidh Krishna when Shiva Mavi was actually performing well for you?
I don't understand. You know, there's so many bad decisions they've made. KKR just don't seem to. They don't know their best 11, you know, and Marvi should be playing. You know, he's a great performer. He's done really well, and they're dropping the wrong person. It should be Andre Russell that they need to drop.
Andre Russell was dropped, and Tom Banton was in. Shiva Mavi was dropped, and Prasidh Krishna was in. So these two changes KKR had.
Yeah. So obviously, I just think that they don't, like I said, they don't know their best 11, but they need to know the youngsters they're gonna back and what roles each person has in the team. And that's not the confusion. It surprises me. Someone like Owen Morgan, he's been brilliant for England T20 captaincy. He hasn't really. I don't think he knows how to get the best out of. It's when you're managing an IPL team, it's a different ball game to when you're managing your own country. So I'm not sure if he knows how to get the best out of the Indian youngsters.
Yes, and one more valid point which you mentioned at start, that Owen Morgan, captain of England, versus Owen Morgan, the captain of KKR. They are performing two different jobs. Both the Owen Morgans are performing two different jobs, and it's really baffling to see how Owen Morgan actually led the side in this game. So now moving on to tomorrow's game, a very crucial game as far as this IPL is concerned, because a lot of permutations and combinations will affect with the result of this game between Rajasthan Royals and Sunrisers Hyderabad. Means if Rajasthan wins it, they'll be in the top 4, whereas if Sunrisers wins it, they'll be at the 5th spot and replace Punjab there. So they'll be at the 5th spot. And so what's your take on tomorrow's game between Rajasthan and Sunrisers Hyderabad?
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be a big game. I think Rashid Khan, we all know, plays a big role, and he can potentially, blow out the overseas batters. That's how good this player is. But for me, it's a neck and neck game. It's an even game. It's between them three, I reckon, for the final spot. Punjab Kings, Sunrisers Hyderabad, Sunrisers, and Rajasthan Royals. It's a big game for Rajasthan Royals. I think it's a must-win game for Rajasthan Royals, and we need to see Ben Stokes firing. I think they've experimented him at top of the order. I don't think that's the right position. Obviously, he should be coming in at 5 or 6. Robin Utupatu and Joss Butler, both of them opening is a better combination, with Steve Smith at 3. Sam Samsu, 4. Look at that batting lineup. How strong is that? Then maybe Ben Stokes at 5 or 6.
We discussed it previously, Paji. We discussed it that Butler and Robbie at the top, then Samson, Smith, and Stokes. So top 5 are quite heavy.
Yes. And Rashid Khan can potentially, get him out. But if you look at the teams and look on paper, I think it's between Rajasthan Royals and Punjab Kings for the 4th spot. Sunrisers Hyderabad haven't, they're a good team, but they're not as strong, as the other two. So I expect, Rajasthan Royals to win the match.
Okay. And Williamson had a hamstring injury in the previous game. So do you see Jason Holder coming in for Williamson or Mohammad Nabi, considering the match is in Dubai where the wickets are a bit spin friendly?
Yeah, that's going to be on the conditions that they'll see. But I would like to bring in, with Rashid Khan in the team, I think they lack an extra bowler, a fast bowler. And I think Jason Holder, he can hit the ball well. That back of a length is quite a heavy, lengthy bowls. I would like to see Jason Holder, come into the frame tomorrow, and that could be the difference, with that extra bowler that Sunrisers Hyderabad are missing. But I don't know why they're not keen on Jason Holder. These wickets are, if you hit the length, they actually bounce a bit more than they do, in India. I would have actually paid Jason Holder much earlier.
Yeah. And a last question is that Jason Holder will also probably give some batting down the end. Maybe Nabi will also give them. But so you will prefer Jason Holder over Nabi. That's your call.
Yes.
Okay. So now, as we are running out of time, just two questions I'll take for Paji. So any viewer who needs to question,
Yeah, I would like to ask a question.
go ahead.
So, since long time we have been criticizing bowlers like Mohammad Siraj, Jaydev Unadkat, Umesh Yadav, and we say them that they are the students of Umesh Dinda Academy, and as they have several times got it for many runs in their 4 overs. So, is it the captain's confidence in a player which makes him perform on the match day? We have seen Joginder Sharma performing in the 2007 World Cup final. Today we saw Siraj. So does that confidence which a captain shows in his player makes an impact?
Yeah, look, I think confidence is a big thing. It's backing your players, and it's also conditions. I think if you're tall, fast bowler, UAE is going to favour your conditions. But if these set of bowlers bowl in India, could be a different ball game. They could be going the distance. So these conditions at the moment are favouring slightly the tall, fast bowlers. And that's why the likes of Umesh Yadav probably is a bit skiddier on these pitches and easier to get away. It's more the sort of faster bounce, tall bowlers that are helping. But then in India, Umesh Yadav, gosh, I've seen him bowl quick and fast, and the ball is kind of skidding on. He's a bit of like a Yasser Arafat type of bowler. And I remember when, he actually bowled, Yuvraj Singh, bowled him out of the ground, and that was surprising to see because he's a great player of fast bowling. But when to see him, like someone like the caliber of Yuvraj, being sort of one frame behind because of how fast it was. I can see why in India he is very effective, but in the UAE, that sort of length, it's he needs to bounce a bit more for him, to be effective. I think it bouncing a bit too much, and then he bowls a bit fuller. That's in the slot, and when it's in the slot, it goes the distance. Doesn't matter whichever bowler you are.
Yeah. So now last question of the day. Whoever needs to ask, please ask. Last question of the day
I
because
would
we are
like
running
to
out of
ask.
time.
I would like to ask, as in the last match, David Warner sent him in the middle order. So, do you say him again in the middle order, or he'll open tomorrow?
Look, David Warner he's a guy who would honestly just say, if I'm not in a great form, I'd rather go down the order for the team. What's good for the team? And it's good that he's doing that.
And Paji, I'm sorry to intervene, but he actually came down the order because he was a bit injured in the first innings while fielding. So that was the reason Kane Williamson opened the innings.
Yeah, but why was Kane Williamson playing in the first place? He's got a hamstring injury. What are you trying to tell to Jason Holder? We don't have any confidence in you. I just it's a makeup of the team as well. David Warner probably thinking that Kane Williamson can do a better job with a half a hamstring than Jason Holder. Then that's it's a good team that does well. It's not a group of 11 players. It's a squad of 15. Every member in the squad must feel like in the playing 11. And the logic decision was, if Kane Williamson isn't fit, drop him, put Jason Holder. He can open the batting, or get some of the other batsmen up the top of the order, like Manish Pandya. He can bat. He's a well established batsman. So it's you know, you can see, you know, a good team will say all its squad of 15 to do well, but you know, when you have your 11, the outsiders kind of feel like an outsider, even if they're in the team.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Paji, for being there, and thanks a lot, viewers who've joined us for this interactive post-match analysis session. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks a lot to Piyush, Rohan, Aman, Prabodh, Anurag also who joined. So that's it for today. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll meet at the same time, 11:45 p.m. And if there is any changes, you will be informed. So that's it from my side. Good night. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Okay, good night, goodbye. Thank you, Monty sir.